ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Happy Thanksgiving Eve, as myself and Scotty are live. I'm from Cape Cod right now, currently 55 degrees, OMG. A little balmy. Rain last night, rain today. At least it's not snow, and Scotty live in Tampa. As we get set for some in-pocket plays for the weekend, we'll be back on Friday. Of course, maybe I will have added a few pounds, maybe Scotty as well, as we will be dark tomorrow for Thanksgiving. Busy day, or I should say morning this morning. Me and Scott will start us off, and then around 10:20, Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk at McGinnis Picks, talking NHL. 15 games and all, big slate tonight in the NHL. Then at 11 a.m., we're going to bring in Matt Grissom at Grissom on X at NCAA Insiders to talk some college football, some SEC, some Westgate Superbook card. And then at high noon, Ron Marmolevsky live from LA talking NCAA and NFL like no other. So grab your lattes, grab your scorecards, grab your bagels, and let's have some fun here. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, champ?
Hey, morning, Jeff. I've already been out, picked up my Thanksgiving Day homemade Amish pies and had breakfast, and I had some food in me because I know what my rest of the day is going to be. There's no games today for me, football wise. There's basketball stuff, but so I'm going to be putting up lights,
stringing up the lights. As we hear the songs, we had these little trees. I've lived in my home now. We got it brand new 20 years ago. So about 3 years in, 4 years in, actually it was longer than that. Let's say 8 years in, I needed a wall. I needed something to protect the street to my home. And I couldn't put up a picket fence, so I got these little 3-foot trees, and we planted 20 of them. Well, now the little 3-foot trees are like 13 feet. And so each year we either had to add another string of lights, then we had to add a step ladder. Now we need a truck to be able to do them correctly. So it gets work and more work. We obviously don't put up the production that you do, but it still works, sir.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it doesn't matter what you do. You just make them look as best you can. I mean, I don't want somebody to go out there and wrap a tree up and make it look stupid, because that's a waste of time. But it's like if you go to the mall and you walk around the mall, I'm going to sound really bad when I say this. When you go to the mall and you walk around the mall and you watch people, right? They people watch. That's, some people are trying, Jeff. Some people aren't trying, and what they look like. And if you're trying, so be it. Same thing with Christmas lights. If you're trying, so be it. It's all good. Whatever the outcome is, the outcome is. But you're trying. If you're not trying and you're just half-assing shit, then stop. Don't even bother. Just don't do it.
Well, we have a busy show in front of us. We have in-pocket plays for Friday and Saturday. But before we get to them, again, 3 games in the NFL. We will not be here on Thursday, Scotty, of course. And I'm going to bring up some line movements if we have any. And the key is, I think, is the fact of the matter is the 3 games on Friday are all teams fighting for playoffs, fighting for divisions other than the Bengals. But the big thing about the Bengals at the Ravens is the return of Joe Burrow. Currently, okay, it did move. Good morning to Mr. Benson, Mr. Stevens at the Circa. I was wondering if it would. Detroit is now moved from 2.5 to -3 with a 49 against Green Bay. The middle game, Kansas City at Dallas. Kansas City -3 with a -15 cents. Next move to 3.5 with a 52.5. And Bengals at Baltimore, the 8:20 game. And that is now 7 plus 5 cents. So the next move there is going to go to 6.5 with a 51.5. And it was brought to my attention. These are just for show. I didn't even notice this. The early game has always been 12:30. They kicked that one off at 12:30, and then the next game's at 4:30. It's at 1 o'clock, so you get that extra half hour to prep the stuffing and the yams and all like that. 3 games in the NFL before we get to college. Anything jump out to you on Thursday?
Well, my biggest problem with this is that the data that I get hasn't got here yet. So I've gotten a lot of data. It's just the data that I use for this stuff. Hey, PB, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for reposting the stream. Hey, so I guess what I'm saying is that I got a lot of this data. I can go, piecemeal it together. But where I get it from, they put it in a nice little package for me, and I don't have to sort through it all. So I haven't really done a lot of deep dive. So let's just start with that. There's not a lot of deep dive. Now, having said that, I got from what I've so far really kind of dove into is 2 things that stand out to me. Well, it's really 3 things, I guess. The 2 things is this Green Bay Detroit game. I think there's going to be points. That is my thought. My original thought is at 49 points. I think this game is going to be in the 50s. So now that doesn't mean I've gotten to a point where I'm ready to bet that. It's just in my head. I think they're going to score some points. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Detroit hasn't been stopping anybody, and they're at home. I think they're going to do just fine. The next game with Kansas City, I think Kansas City's defense is going to. I think Kansas City's defense is really going to do something to Dallas. And I'm leaning pretty strong with the Kansas City side here. Not because I don't think Dallas is playing better, and I don't think that their defense has been playing poorly, but where Dallas really struggles is in pass secondary, and they're going to struggle against this team. They're going to throw all over them. So the other part of it is I don't think that the Eagles were able to get much of a pass rush on Dak, and especially in the second half. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think they're going to I think Kansas City's going to just. I think this is not going to be as competitive as everybody thinks it is. And then the last game, I'm not a Joe Burrow fan at this point, meaning that yes, he's a great quarterback and all that stuff, but he's not going to come in and rescue a 3-8 team. It's not going to happen. They're 3-8 for a reason, and it's not just because of Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Flacco's played pretty well. They can't stop anybody. They can't stop a nosebleed. They can't do anything right. I think their head coach makes poor decisions. I don't think they necessarily have the right scheme most of the time. So I think they're going to be great games to watch. I think there'll be great games against the spread to kind of figure out what's going on. And again, I'm going to be in a tough spot where I probably have to handicap this in the morning before I go to Tampa to see mom. So it is what it is. I mean, life goes on, and you stay up all night, you drink coffee, and then you go drink. You fall asleep watching football games, and then the turkey's ready, and all of a sudden, you're driving home, and you're ready for Friday.
In pocket play.
There's an NFL game Friday too. It's an interesting game because the Bears are playing pretty well and the Eagles haven't been. So and it's a touchdown. So that's going to be an interesting game to handicap.
Well, again, I left Friday off the board because we will be there. And again, it's funny. I've talked to a lot of colleagues, and listen, everyone wants to talk about the Patriots. First team to 10 wins, 10-2. They've won 8 in a row. And it's Vrabel, it's Josh McDaniels, it's Drake May. And the funny thing is, if you go to the NFC, there's a team called the Chicago Bears with a new head coach, Ben Johnson, with a second-year quarterback, Caleb Williams. Oh, by the way, a team that's in first place in the NFC North that is on a heater as well. They haven't won 8 in a row, but look what they've done the last 8 games. Okay, I think they're 7-1. But everyone says they're lucky. They're not that good. I'm not calling it the Bears of 85. I'm not suggesting anything like that, okay? My point is they're doing something that the Patriots have done, just a little less to the extent, yet no one wants to give them any credit. They're lucky. Well, what did he do? He established a culture. They've bought in. What's Caleb Williams doing? Not turning the ball over. And what has Ben Johnson done? Established a great running attack with Swift and Monagai from Rutgers. Defense is getting stronger, yet here comes the big bad Eagles where they got to travel to Philadelphia, all pissed off because they blew a 21-0 lead, and they're just going to steamroll this Bears team. And that number of 7.5 to me, I think it's a little outlandish.
Well, I don't know that the Eagles, just watch them. They're one of those teams that emotionally, I don't think they get real high. I don't think they get pissed off. I think they just show up and think they're going to dominate and do whatever, and where the cookie crumbles land, that's where they land, and that's how things go. And I think that's kind of the way they are. And their head coach is kind of weird too. Sirianni, he's an emotional kind of weird guy on the sidelines. I don't know, half the time he knows what he's doing. But I do think that they're a way more talented team. I mean, I think their offensive line's more talented, their defensive line's more talented. I think they've been there, done that. They're more seasoned. They're the team to beat until they're really not the team to beat. But look, I don't know how many people have not been watching the Rams, but look, the Rams are the best team in the NFL right now. They're just complete everywhere. I mean, they're complete on defense. They're complete on offense. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They can stop the run. They can stop the pass. They can pressure the quarterback. What can't they do, right? So, and if they do it right, the Rams, they won't have to go play in Philadelphia. Philadelphia have to go there, and that's a big advantage. So, these games are going to come down to some of this stuff at the end, where they're going to need to win these games, and it's get in the tournament if you're in the NFL. If you're in the spot to be a first round bye, you want that just to get healthy and rest your guy or guys. But at the same time, just get in. Because when you get in, if you're good enough, right, it doesn't matter where you play, you can beat these other teams. And I think that's kind of the Chiefs and the Bills philosophy right now. Just get in. If we get in, we got a fighter's chance, and we can go beat these other teams that we're playing against. Same play probably with the Eagles. I think the Bears, they get in, they're just going to be excited to be in. I mean, holy crap, how long has it been since the Bears have been in? So it's one of those things where I don't know what this game is going to be like. My opinion basically is that, I start with the quarterback and go, well, would I put my money on Caleb Williams or would I put my money, on the Eagles quarterback? And I'd be like, Jalen Hurts is the right guy for me. I trust him more than I trust the other guy. That doesn't mean the other guy's not going to make plays or do whatever. And then I look at it and go, well, which defense do I trust better? Well, I trust the Eagles defense better. Which head coach do I trust? Well, Ben Johnson's in his rookie year, and the other guy's been to Super Bowl. So I think I'm going to take the other guy, right? So things start to stack up for me, and then it's a matter of, well, 7 points is a lot. Well, it's a touchdown, for God's sakes. So, but this isn't like San Francisco playing Carolina the other night. You know what I mean? This is, Carolina's not got the firepower to keep up. And I think the Bears have been scoring enough points to keep up with anybody. The question becomes is, can they stop the other side to slow down what they got to keep up with? I mean, if it's going to be a 50-50 game, that's kind of weird. It could be, but it is what it is. I don't, the Eagles hold on to the ball like, they take 7-minute drives. So I don't think that's going to be the case.
The inconsistency of, I'm going to start to say the Eagles are like a box of chocolates.
Yeah.
Are you going to get the first half Eagles up 21-0, or the second half Eagles, which chewed their food, played grab ass, and got caught? And it's not the first time. They have shown a lot of games, even this year, big first halves, nothing's in the second half. And when you're laying 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10 points for this team, you're right. They stack up and check all the boxes. And you look great at halftime as you go to your fridge for a leftover turkey, cranberry sauce, and stuffing sandwich. And next thing you know, here's Caleb to DJ Moore. Here's DeAndre Swift. And next thing you know, Jalen Hurts with a pickoff, and your 21-3 halftime lead now is 21-17 heading late into the fourth quarter. So, again, we'll talk about that on Friday. I want to bring up your in-pocket plays. We get time to break down 1 or 2 games today on Game on Paper. Scotty's in-pocket plays are for Friday: Ole Miss -6.5. Georgia, I'm looking at the helmets here. Utah -11.5. Georgia -13. Texas A&M -2 on Friday. On Saturday, Florida State, Vanderbilt, Clemson, Virginia, Oklahoma. Scotty.
Yeah, first comment that I want to make is look at those numbers, because if you bet them right, you can get better numbers than what you can see on some of the stuff. Like, Vanderbilt +3 is pretty good. Clemson +3 is pretty good, because I think most of that stuff's +2.5 right now. Virginia -9.5, I think it's -10. Oklahoma -9.5, I think it's -10. I think Ole Miss is -7. So, there's a reason why. So when you make I guess the first thing I want to say is you gotta start with what is your bankroll? What is your budget to bet with for this week? Whether it be the whole week, whether it be maybe you're going to bet a Tuesday game or something, and whatever. But I had to really think this through, because I'm going to bet Thursday games. I don't know what I'm going to bet yet, so I budgeted the amount of money that I have set aside for those games, even though I haven't bet them. And then I thought, okay, well, Friday I'm going to play games I know, and then Saturday I'm going to play games I know. And the way I looked at this too, Jeff, was there's 13 games on Friday. Well, I did almost all the 13 games in terms of breaking them down, not all of them, but the majority of them. And I'm like, I don't need to bet more than 4 of these games. So give me the absolute best 4 things that I think I like. So there we go. That's where those come into play. And then on Saturday, I did the same thing, except there's a lot more games on Saturday. So you really got to siphon this down a lot to get to where you want to go. And I still have room on Saturday to what I say is pick up a couple extra games, because there's games I don't run through, but I read other stuff to so for example, a game might be -16 or 17 or something, and I read something somewhere and it's like they're going to win by 25 or 30, and I didn't run it through the system. So then I start analyzing it, break it down. I might add that on Saturday. But until I have that, so I have to leave the space. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you need a bet plan. And in your bet plan, you need to know what games you're playing. And then based on your bankroll, how much money are you going to put on these games? Are they going to be evenly distributed? We like to do that a little bit here. I like to put a little bit extra on the better games. So the way you're seeing it right now, the better games are listed first, second, third, fourth down the line. Now, the games that are in there, there's only, like if there's a 3-star game, for example, and I'm not saying there's 3 units, so don't get that right. So, say it's a 3-star game in terms of confidence level or whatever. Well, the next one's 2.5. It's not like they're that far apart, but they are better than the other ones. So, Ole Miss, Utah, Georgia, all about the same. Florida State, Vanderbilt, Clemson, all about the same. But, Florida State, Vanderbilt, maybe a little higher, and Ole Miss is definitely, and Utah is kind of higher. So those 4 games are kind of the best bets, if you want to call them that. And then the other ones are right there. Not that there's not other worthy bets to make, but when you have this many already, you don't need to make all these other bets. So that's why, yesterday I said, hey, put some pizza money on, Western Michigan, because, I wasn't going to go make it one of these bets. It's a good bet. It's not one of these bets. So, and I have to keep my bankroll good for, what is that, 9 bets? And then I'm going to make, at least 2 bets probably on Thursday. So that's 11 bets. And then I'm going to make maybe an additional bet or 2 on Saturday. So I might have 13 bets out there. My bankroll has to be able to substantiate that. And, we're talking in my world, $200 to $400 every one of these games. So, that's going to strain and drain some of that stuff. So anyway, point being is, I think it's important to strategize what your bet for the week looks like, because if you don't really lay it out that way, you don't know what to bet and how much to bet and what the differentiations are and so forth. So anyway, that's why I did it the way I did it. And that's kind of when I sent them to you. I'm like, I don't know if you want to do them this way or not, but Friday, I've already made these bets. Saturday, I already made these bets, and I got great numbers. Now, I'm not saying that you can't bet them at 10 if they're not minus 9.5. Bet it at 10. You know what I mean? That's the option that you're going to have. It's still a good play at that number. So if I give you something, I'm not counting on that half a point to matter. It will every once in a while come into play, but I'm not betting it to try to come in within that half a number. I think the half a number in some of these cases is immaterial. You might even get to a point where you might want to take, like we did on Monday night's game, San Francisco minus 7.5 instead of the 7, and I got plus money because I did that, because that's a key number, and you're taking the 7.5, and yeah, sure you could lose at 7, but I didn't really fear that. And I see the guy throw 3 interceptions. I start fearing it a lot. But it is what it is, and how that stuff comes down. So anyway, we can break down any games you want or whatever you want to talk about it. I have, just so you know, right in front of me, the easiest one would be Ole Miss and Mississippi State, only because I already have it sitting right here. But we can do whatever you want.
Here for you.
It's at the top because they play on Friday, so they're like top right.
Oh, they're there. Okay.
So I think the first thing that catches your attention in this is, people like Mississippi State. Mississippi State has covered a couple games and maybe won some people some money, so people think they're a good football team. Well, let's look at this and see if they really are a good football team. Their EPA per play is negative 0.2. They rank 78th. Remember, there's 130 teams, so they're worse than half. So they're in the bottom 65, 70% of all the teams in college football. That's how they rank. So that's not very good when you think about a good team or a bad team. And then think about it from a logical point, right? So this is a team that ranks in the 78th, right, or 76th, whatever it is, and they're going to take on a team that's in the top 15 of all of college football. They rank 24th in EPA, 24th in yards per play, 17th in available yards, and 23 in success rate. That's what they're going against. And I get it. This is a rivalry game and all that stuff. And I also am going to bring up the Lane Kiffin thing in just a second. So when you look at it from a perspective of you got a number 15 offense, and what is the strength of Mississippi State? Is it offense or defense? Do we really know? Well, the defense is ranked 53rd. The offense is ranked 61st. So both of them kind of middling right in there. Well, you got a top 15 offense and a top 26 defense for Mississippi. You've got a quarterback. The quarterback, I got to pull it up a different way. The quarterback for Mississippi, of all the, in this case, because quarterbacks get hurt and they put other guys in, or some guys aren't very good, so they put in a backup and they become the starter. There's more than 130 quarterbacks that get graded for QBR rank. There's like 140 some. Well, the quarterback for Mississippi ranks 7th. That's pretty good out of all of that, right? He ranks 7th, and the Mississippi State quarterback ranks 82nd, 82. So again, you're taking a at best average team in Mississippi State, maybe a little bit of a below average team with a below average quarterback, and you're going to then have to take on a top 15 team with a top 10 quarterback. And if you look at it from a lot of different, so defense, right? So what defensively can't Mississippi State do? The big purple box there in the second there is run defense, 128th run defense. They're not going to be able to stop the run. Well, Mississippi has a guy named Lacey that can run the football and score touchdowns. The quarterback can run a little bit. They rank 44th in rushing, 15th in passing. Available yards is 10th. Their only snafu at Mississippi is special teams aren't the greatest thing in the world. So they always get off to a bad start in terms of field position, but they overcome that with A, explosive plays, and B, with the ability of look at where it says average third down distance for Mississippi. They rank 4th in all the country in average third downs. So if they're 3rd and 2 all day, they're going to keep getting the ball. You can see that where it says success rate. So success rate on offense is 32nd. They convert their first downs. And that's where I think this game goes awry for Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State won't be able to stop Mississippi. And then on the other side of it, I don't think Mississippi State's offense is good enough to do a whole lot against the defense for Mississippi. Now, a lot of people are going to go, well, this Lane Kiffin thing is going to have these kids not focused and all this stuff. Well, I specifically asked a couple questions around that, A. And then B, I don't know if anybody really listens to, press conferences anymore from head coaches, but as a handicapper, I think it's a good thing to do. Lane Kiffin made a comment about the kids. And he said this isn't the same group of people that it was, 25 years ago when we were younger, meaning him and, people of our ilk. Like when you go to work and you work a 9-to-5 job, it used to be, I want to go to work a 9-to-5 job. And then I'm going to get promoted and make it a career. And I'm going to stay there for the rest of my life. And that's what I'm going to do. That's not the way it works anymore. A lot of people just bounce around and get whatever they can get and move up and do different things. And A lot of people don't even work 9-to-5 jobs, and they find ways to make money, and they do all kinds of different things. And that's all well and good, but that relates because the kids think the same way. They're not there for legacy. They're not there to create a legacy. They're not there because they might have a relationship with the people around them and the coaches and stuff, but they're not there to embellish that. They're there to create a path for themselves, whatever that path looks like, whether that's at Ole Miss or it's somewhere else. And so I think that they're not thinking about Lane Kiffin and the distraction and those things. I think they think we're 10-1. We need to win this game to make the playoff. And I think they're going to be pretty damn focused. And actually, I think that might even be a help to them than a hindrance to them. I think they're going to play a really good game. The number that spit out in the system this week, let me pull it up a different way. The number was Mississippi 38-27. It's an 11-point win. It's a lot of points. I think as long as you're, we're talking about a touchdown now, and the line opened at 8. I think as long as you're under 10, you're good to go. And I don't think anywhere is going to be 10 on this game. You might even be able to, maybe I bet it too soon at 7. I think it's still 7. Maybe it drops to 6.5, and you can get it at 6.5. And I didn't wait long enough. But I think this is a good spot for Ole Miss. I really do.
If you're betting or investing on Ole Miss, make sure you bring your headphones. It is at Mississippi State, which is the king of the cowbells. So there'll be a lot of cowbells going. So that will be interesting. Scotty, we got time for one more here. I'm going to bring up here. Let's go to let's go here. Texas A&M in Texas. Again, Texas with this win now starts to create some doubt here. They would have beaten the undefeated A&M team, who, don't forget, was down 30-3, come all the way back for a 31-30 win. This team, everyone is waiting for to slip up. Now, Arch Manning just put up 52. A team that pre-flop, everyone had going to the Final Four, potential championship game versus a Penn State, a Clemson. Well, obviously that's not going to happen. Shown flashes, but hasn't been that Arch Manning Heisman Trophy favorite that people thought. Now you got an undefeated A&M team. This is their Super Bowl. This is a win that can put another notch in Sark's belt and now start to create that doubt, saying, hey, guys, we didn't have to travel to Ohio State opening day. Yeah, we had some bumps against Georgia again, but here we are, guys. We're knocking on the door here. We just beat undefeated A&M.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting thing because sometimes when you're doing this stuff, you get preconceived ideas and notions in your head as what you think is going to be the way things are going to go. And look, I have not been a big proponent of Texas A&M most of the season. I just haven't been. And the reason I haven't been is because, yeah, they're undefeated and all that stuff, but they haven't played Georgia. They haven't played, they haven't played Alabama. And not that they couldn't beat these teams, but I'm just saying that they haven't played the teams that in the SEC kind of give you the credit for being good. If I were to look, let me see the team profile for 1 second. And I pull this up. Now I will say this: they did beat Notre Dame, and if you watch Notre Dame play, and they've beaten teams by 70 to whatever the score was last week, they're beating teams like crazy. So that's a big win for them. I mean, beating Notre Dame is not a slouchy thing, but they did beat Notre Dame. And I'm trying to think of what's their next best win. They beat Auburn. They beat Mississippi State. They beat Florida. They beat Arkansas. They beat LSU. They beat Missouri. They beat South Carolina. Last week they beat Samford. Where's the beat? Right? Where's the good stuff of who, of who they play. So that's always been a thing in my head around Texas A&M. I thought they were a little bit fraudulent. Now, having said that they're a little bit fraudulent, they've got one major win under their credit, and that's a really good win. But when you match them up against a team that's inferior to them, well, it is what it is. I mean, Texas isn't as good as Texas A&M. And if you look at it, you can see where's my first thing. I got to go over here, and I'll tell you. So Texas A&M. Texas A&M, according to the system here, and I just said how bad their schedule has been, but it says their strength of schedule is 11th, and Texas is 8th. So that's pretty close. And then the quarterback for Texas ranks 46th. He's been moving up. He was close to 175 for a long time, but now Arch Manning's getting better and better. He's moved to 46th, and the quarterback for Texas A&M, Reed, he ranks 14th. Now he's a pretty damn dynamic player. When you watch them come back from that big deficit last week, they had to rally and score 24 points in the second half or something to win that game. And watch that kid. He can run all over the place. He can throw the ball all over the place. He's going to have a little bit of that success again today. So when I broke this game down and kind of looking at it, I'm going to switch back to my other breakdown over here. You've got Texas. They're plus 0.6. They rank 41st. That's pretty good, especially for a team that's got a couple losses. That's pretty good. So they're a pretty strong team. And then they're 32nd in yards per play, 42nd in available yards. Success rate's middling. It's a middling thing. So, and success rate's important because that's what converts first downs. That's what keeps the chains moving. Well, if you just kind of look to the left a little bit, you see all that bright green going on, and that's Texas A&M. Texas A&M, third in offense, or EPA. Third in EPA. They are 13th in yards per play. They are 9th in available yards and 4th in success rate. They don't give the ball back. They keep the ball the whole time. They get the yards that they have to have. They're an explosive offense. So I think that really separates them from what Texas is. Texas is not an explosive offense. They're a marauding team that goes down and tries to hold the ball for a long time, and then they get stuck, and then they got to punt or kick a field goal. Texas A&M can do both. They can hold on to the ball, and they're gonna have big explosive plays. Offensively, EPA, they rank 3rd or 6th, and they're going to go against the 59th ranked defense, and defensively they rank 17th, and Texas ranks 54th on offense. Again, remember, we're talking about 54 out of 130, so they're a little better than halfway, but say they're in the top 40%. Well, they're playing a team that's in the top 5, not top 40, top 5. So there is a very big difference here. And even if you discredit a little bit of who they played, it's not that much. If you took 10% off of what they've done because you didn't like the schedule that they've played, it's still an advantage to Texas A&M. And then just look at it from Texas's offensive perspective. They run the ball. They rank 93rd running the football. So if they become one-dimensional, where they can't run the ball against Texas A&M, which is very likely, they're going to have to pass. And passing, they rank 54th. The defense for Texas A&M, 17th against the pass. Okay, I find it very difficult for Arch Manning to really have a big day against Texas A&M's defense. I really do. And one of the things that the head coach for Texas A&M is, Elko, he's a defensive guy. So I think he's going to come in with this. He's going to be fine. I don't think there's going to be any issues there. And then look at the offense, and you can just see how it breaks down for Texas. Offense, average third down distance. They rank 118th. That means they can't do a whole lot on first and second down. They're going to be 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. That's not good when you consider that average third down distance for the defense they're playing, number one in the country. Average third down success rate, number one in the country. That means they stop people on third down and get off the field. And it's probably, well, I shouldn't say probably, it's because they're the number one team at making them have third and longs. And you can see that Texas already falls right into that. So it really surprised me when I went through this and did this exercise, because I don't think the matchup really works for Texas. I think it's going to be a close game. Got it 28-23, but Texas A&M wins, and I think it's a pretty strong bet, to be honest. But whatever, I wouldn't have bet if I didn't think it was going to be a strong bet. But so I'm on the Texas A&M side. I didn't think it was going to be. I think what was the number, -2.
Yeah.
I think you can still get -2. It might drop to -1 and 1.5. The one game that, guys, I will tell you, if you like, you're going to have to bet it as soon as you can bet it. That's Florida State, and Florida State's on Saturday, but they're +1 right now. They were +2, I think, or maybe even 2.5 at the open. What was the open number that I showed? I showed the opening number was 2.5. I think they're going to go off as the favorite. I think Florida State's going to be -1, -1.5 when it goes off. So if you like them and you want to get the best of the number, you can get it now. So that would be the only advice I would have of anything, that if you haven't got any idea. Florida State plays Florida, by the way. And I think Florida State's going to beat that team outright. My number came out 24-20 Florida State, but I think there's more to it than that, which break down later. But the point being is that if you want to bet that game, that's the only line one I think is going to change dramatically before what we're talking about now and the time that kicks off.
I'm going to go back to Texas for 1 second here. You were looking for a few of the statement games on the A&M side. And if you were looking for it, obviously it's on the Texas side, meaning Ohio State, Florida, Oklahoma. They beat Mississippi State 45-38. Vanderbilt, they beat Vanderbilt. They get blown out by Georgia, and then they have a shootout with Arkansas. So again, I'm not here to promote Texas, but my point is they've played a lot tougher schedule. They've played the meat of the SEC. They traveled to Ohio State opening day. They beat Diego Pavla from Vanderbilt. They are battle tested, so I'll be interested. I'm waiting for the quote unquote oil money to travel into Vegas on Thursday, which I think it might come in tonight because of Thanksgiving, but it's going to be one hell of a game on Friday. Again, Scotty Webb's in-pocket plays, Ole Miss -6.5, Utah -11.5, Georgia -13, A&M -2. Those are on Friday. Saturday, currently, Florida State +1, Vanderbilt +3, -113, Clemson +3, -113, Virginia -9.5, Oklahoma -9.5. Closing thoughts, Scotty.
Yeah, I think I led off with kind of where I wanted to close with, which is when you're doing this stuff, and especially like this week, because it's going to be like this for basketball. So when you start to really think about it, you got to have a strategy and a plan on how you're going to attack this stuff. This isn't willy-nilly, just I'm going to go throw $50 at this game and $20 at that game and $10 at this game, especially when you get to a certain level, right? Because, you want to go bet 300 on this game and 200 on that game and 300 on that game and 200 on this game. Well, now you got $1,000 out there, and did you do the strategy right? Did you put your money where it's supposed to be? So and put yourself in the best return on investment possibilities. And that's that's where a plus side of the number matters a lot. So if I bet $300 on a game and I get plus 104 or plus 105, and I don't have to pay minus 110 or minus one or minus anything, well, there's value there. And that even actually may jump it up in the list of betting opportunities because, EV positive plays, you look at them from that perspective, and that's going to change the outcome result that's expected. So when you're doing this stuff, I think it's very important that you don't just kind of fly by night this stuff unless you're just doing pizza money stuff. If you're doing pizza money stuff, or I shouldn't say it this way, but there's a lot of people out there that just say, hey, I got $10. I'm going to go throw $10 on this 10-leg parlay and see what happens. If you're doing that, okay, well, you don't need to worry about a bet plan because you're not really betting anyway. So if you're betting to do this, you need to have a strategy. I call it, I guess the way I do it is I make what I consider to be a bet plan. And the bet plan starts with, these are the games of interest. This is how I rank them in terms of priority. And then I match that into a bankroll of how much I'm going to bet. And then I start deciphering how much money goes where. And then I just bet them. You know what I mean? Like, there you go. There's 9 bets out there, right now. Boom, 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 boom. $2,000 or however much money I put out there. I don't know. It's out there. So it's a scary thing when you've got all that money sitting out there and you don't have any results, right? So you really, really, really need to trust your process, because if you bet all those games and you lose all of them, guess what? They're in the system. You can't go back and take them out. They're bet. So you're not going to be able to go and say, I don't want to play that one no more, and then have them come back and go, well, here's your money back. That's not how it works. You bet the other side or whatever to get out of it. That's what you want to do. But the point being is, your money's tied up, and if you lose and you don't trust your process, and you've got 9 bets and you go 1-8, well, that's not very good. So I think a lot of people try to protect against that. They might bet 1 or 2 games and go, if I win, I'm going to do this, right? I think that's what they do. I think that's the wrong thing to do. I think the right thing to do is, I've got this bankroll and this is what I'm going to do with it. And I'm going to maximize my return on investment this way. And then my bankroll grows. So the next time I go bet, I can bet this much, or however you want to do it. Or I can take the money and go buy a pizza or something.
Me and Scotty will be back on Friday, 9:15 a.m. Want everyone to enjoy themselves. PB, thank you for, as always, Mr. Lucky, Dr. Lance. The list is endless. The Wager Wire community. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Have some fun. Remember what Thanksgiving's all about. Embrace the family. Embrace the in-laws, the outlaws, however you want to say it. And remember this, it's not easy a lot of times for holidays for some people. So remember to show some empathy, show some respect, maybe pause before your response. Count to 5 or 10 before you see that person that you haven't seen only once or twice a year. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish everyone a blessed morning. I'll be back in 10-12 minutes with Andrew McGinnis and talking some NHL. Stay tuned.